From choosing your read aloud books to your curriculum to coming up with a schedule that you can actually make time for, making time to homeschool your kids when maybe you're feeling a little spoiled with how much more time you've had during summer break. All of this can make your head spin when you're getting ready for the new homeschool year. We are well prepared, and I'm so excited to share all of it with you today. Hi guys, my name is Livy with Daisy Chain Principles. I am a single homeschooling mom to two amazing children, and today we are going over the plan for the 2024 into the 2025 homeschool year. I will have a second grader and a fifth grader. Now, if you saw my videos previously, you will remember that I tried pushing for my daughter to be a year early, and it wasn't right for her. So if you're like, why did you have a second grader last year and again this year? That is why, but normally she would be in second grade anyway. Today's video is going to be coming at you fast with a lot of information. I'm going to go over morning basket curriculum as well as core subject curriculums. I'm going to go over our daily chores and our daily homeschool rhythm and how it differs this year from what we did last year and why. If you love applying high performance mindset to homeschooling, if you are type A, if you love everything to do with schedules and stickers and notebooks and planning ahead, this is going to be like candy. Let's dive right in. I'm going to be looking at my notes. These are kind of just a little look at my notes that I made. I spent days and days on this year. Let's start by going over morning basket. And first I'm going to talk about the issues we had with morning basket last year, and then go into what we plan to change and what exactly we're going to do this coming school year. Some issues that we had last year were that I was basically trying too hard to constantly switch things up and be creative in our morning routine, in our morning read aloud. I was kind of rabbit trailing and trying to cover too many unnecessary topics at once. That's the short and sweet of it. I'm going to take a load off myself this year and do the same thing every day, which means we will be doing less subjects with a lot more excellence. I'm also going to increase our homeschool time. One thing we will keep the same, however, is doing homeschool 4 days a week. Their dad keeps them on the weekends while I work weekends. I keep them on the weekdays and homeschool them while he works weekdays. If I am homeschooling and working every single day, that never gives me a break. So Mondays are our Sabbath. Mondays is coming out of my 4-day work week through the weekend, and so we don't do a lot except try to spend time as a family, rest and have fun. Then we do homeschooling Tuesday through Friday. Let's start by breaking down morning basket. I have scheduled for my morning routine to be in the living room 15 to 20 minutes before my kids to get everything set up with any finger foods, fidgets, whatever I want them to be doing to keep their hands busy while I'm reading to them. First, we start with a family prayer. That takes about 1 minute. Then we move into emergency information. This only takes about 3 minutes, making sure the kids know all the phone numbers and addresses they need to know in an emergency situation. Then we move into our French lesson. Last year, I bought a Charlotte Mason French curriculum, which we failed miserably in the execution. But in hindsight, I do not think the curriculum was the problem. I think the way that I was incorporating it into our daily routine was the problem. And I think putting it as one of the first things we do instead of in the middle breaking up read aloud will make it go much smoother, easier, and faster. French should only take it. The curriculum suggests 10 minutes, but if you look at how it works, which I've explained in a couple previous videos, I feel like 10 minutes is excessive. Basically, the way the curriculum works is that you recite a few sentences in English, and then you recite the same sentences in French and you keep doing the same actions. So you say, I hold the book, I close the book, I open the book. And you're holding a literal book doing those actions to help you retain it as you're saying it. So you memorize the sequence in which you're saying them in English, and then you say it in French. And every page has 3 to 5 new sentences to do the exercise that way. I have continued French on my own, just using Duolingo for like 5 minutes a day every morning. And the progress I've made by just not missing my 5 minutes is incredible. So I'm going to carry that into the exercises I do with my kids. Right after French, because we are still doing things with our hands, we have not started reading yet. I want to keep those parts of Morning Basket separated. We're going to do map reference. If you saw in my previous videos, we keep maps on the wall in the living room, as well as a history timeline map that shows when different things happened in which parts of the world. I have the kids show me where the characters in our read aloud books lived and what time period they lived in on the map. This goes along with whatever read aloud book we are doing for history and geography. After this, we move into actually reading aloud. Next up will be poetry, and we're going to continue using the beautifully illustrated nature poetry book, Sing a Song of Seasons. I adore reading from this book. The poems are so simple. It typically takes 3 minutes to read the poem of the day. After poetry, we will move into science. There is a third science devotional from Louis Giglio now. We've already read all the way through Indescribable. The kids absolutely loved it. Now we're almost to the end of How Great Is Our God. I can't remember the name of the third book, but I will throw it up here when I look it up. It is a very simple 2-page devotional that teaches the kids something about science. It reveals something about nature and then tells us what that reveals about the character of God and ties it into a Bible verse. It is so awesome. I love it so much because it focuses on God's nature rather than being behavior-based type of devotional, which seems to be what most kids' devotionals are. On top of this, I'm going to try to incorporate some YouTube videos to expand on a few of the science devotionals we'll run into this next year that I think the kids will take a lot of interest in. They occasionally will do this themselves, where they're just really intrigued by the day's reading and they want to look up a special video and learn more about it. So I'm going to try to plan in advance just as a way of expanding on science. We are not doing a science, history, or geography set curriculum until they are in junior high. Until then, it is all read aloud based. Lastly, speaking of, we will do history. I loosely base our history read alouds on the classical conversations cycles. I still have the teacher manual from when I tutored, and I didn't love everything about the classical model, but I absolutely fell in love with how they teach history. They repeat the same 3 cycles, which each cycle lasts a year, over and over. And the idea is that the child begins by memorizing college level information. And then as they get older, they take those memorized facts and unpack them with comprehension more and more. Again, I don't know how much I like this for things like math and science, even language arts, but I loved seeing how it worked for history and geography, which is typically taught together because that helps bring it to life more. So what I do is I look at the cycle that we're on, which CC is going to be in cycle 1 this coming year, and they will be studying ancient history around the world. Now, if you look at the checklist of everything the children are supposed to cover in a year, it is quite overwhelming. So I don't worry about following that model exactly or putting that much pressure on me and the kids. I just chose a few books about ancient history around the world that I thought they would enjoy, and I'm going to teach them to match up those storybooks to the maps we have on the wall so that it is living books with maps teaching history and geography. Mwah, I love it. I am planning to do an unboxing video when my books arrive, But I thought I would go ahead and share with you some of these morning basket history living book titles while we wait. For Egypt, we will have A Cry from Egypt and Who Was King Tut. For the Middle East, we'll read The Librarian of Basra. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing any of this wrong. For Greece, we'll read Where is the Parthenon? For Rome, we will read Roman Diary, The Journal of Ileana. For Japan, we will read Heart of a Samurai. And for India, we will read Who Was Gandhi? That's it for our morning basket. While I don't think this will take very long, I'm still allowing an hour for our morning basket time block because we all know that life happens and sometimes you're interrupted or you run late or whatnot. So I've just learned if you think it takes 40 minutes, you're gonna set aside an hour. For our core curriculum, if you've been around here much at all, you already know the core curriculum we use. I am not a parent that likes to jump ship. When I find a curriculum I like, both of the children are to go through it all the way beginning to end. So for math, we use Math Lessons for a Living Education by Angela Odell from Masterbooks. Masterbooks offers homeschool curriculum from a biblical perspective, and this particular math series is meant to be loosely Charlotte Mason based. So there's a little bit of science incorporated, there's a little bit of living stories incorporated, and at the same time, while it's so beautifully written, it's also not overwhelming and very simple to teach, very simple for the student to learn, mostly just text-based, but not so plain that it's uninteresting to the student. I have taught this to my kids for I don't even know how many years now, but we will never use anything else. Next up is language arts. I do not teach my kids traditional grammar yet. Right now, I know they're all coming for me and I'm okay with that. For now, language arts is pieced together with read aloud, reading lessons, and handwriting. That's it until they're in at least 6th grade. We've already gone over the read aloud material, which will naturally teach them a lot of grammar rules. But for their reading program, I swear by All About Reading. This is how both of the kids have learned to read. Daisy is still learning to read. She is in the middle of level 1, and Silas is actually still in the middle of level 3, but he should be able to complete level 4 in the same year. He's absolutely flying through it at this point. He is completing 1 lesson a day, and normally 1 lesson is supposed to take the student 2 to 3 days. So to say that I'm happy with the results of using this program is putting it mildly. For our handwriting curriculum, we use Handwriting Without Tears. A lot of people consider this a curriculum for toddlers, which it definitely is, but it goes all the way through 5th grade and teaches cursive. I've never seen a program so effective for getting a student's handwriting to look presentable and even excellent in a really short amount of time without frustrating them. Plus, it is inexpensive. And that is it. That's our 3 core curriculums, as well as everything we're covering in read aloud time. My daughter also has a lot of self-taught art. My son has a lot of self-taught coding. And then there are days that she goes to gymnastics and he goes to basketball. So I try to leave tons of room in their day for them to individualize, express themselves, and chase their own interests. Lastly, I wanted to go over our daily routine. Last year, I approached homeschool with the idea that I would put all my creative energy into this homeschool business, as well as actually homeschooling the kids. What I mean by creative energy is your brain only has so much effort to give every day. And then it runs out and you hit the point of diminishing returns where you're trying to produce in burnout mode and it doesn't work. They have found that you can increase your productivity by doing things in routines the same way day in and day out, saving up all your energy, as much energy as you can for those few hours that you give your creative energy into the thing that you don't want to be the same all the time, but that you want to improve upon all the time. This is why a lot of famous CEOs wear the exact same outfit every day, for example. I quickly found out that putting creative energy into this business and homeschooling was way too much for me. Homeschooling is now going to be routine. It's going to be the same every day, which not only helps me with how much effort I have to put into it, but it helps the kids too, because kids thrive in routine and predictability. It's actually very comforting to them when homeschool is generally the same every day. And it will allow me a lot more time and brain power to show up on this channel the way that I feel led to, the way that I want to so bad. That being said, here is our daily routine for homeschooling, Tuesday through Friday, because remember, we do it 4 days a week. The idea is to get started around 9 a.m. I will get up at 7 with my own morning routine. This likely will end up not being enough. I'll probably end up having to get up at 6, but I'm gonna see if I can let myself sleep till 7. The kids will be up at 8 and immediately doing their chores. At 8:45, I will start prepping snacks, fidgets, activities for read aloud time, and by 9 a.m. sharp, morning basket should be started. Any chores that we haven't finished will have to wait till after. Morning basket, as we went over, is prayer, emergency info, today's date, French, map reference, poetry, science, and history. This needs to be done by 10 o'clock. By 10 a.m., we are into individual studies. For the most part, my kids still need me to sit right beside them for individual studies. Silas is getting to the point now that he doesn't need that so much for math specifically. About half the time, I would say, I can get up and do something else while he does math and just check it after, or come to him if he asks for my help. But I still am scheduling it as if I'm sitting down teaching him the whole time. And then if I can get ahead on other chores I have that day while he's working, great, but I'm not counting on it. I will teach Silas math for 25 minutes. Then he gets a break while I teach his sister for 25 minutes. Then she gets another break while I teach Silas handwriting and reading for 30 minutes, because handwriting only takes about 5 to 10 minutes depending. Then he is done and she does handwriting and reading with me for 30 minutes. By 12 p.m. noon, I am cleaning up, going over tomorrow's routine, seeing if there's anything special or different, anything that needs adjusted, and logging their records for the day. Then we have lunch, and after lunch, we finish anything that isn't done. And then I move into my own personal chore routine. That is our daily homeschool routine. And the last thing I wanted to share, which this is not directly homeschool related, but will probably be of interest to most parents if you're like me, is the kids' new chore routine. Because I'm going to be losing more time to homeschooling, or I should see it as gaining time with my children, right? Because that's what it actually is. I'm going to need them to pull more weight with their chores, especially also given that I'm giving more time to this business and I work. They already brush their teeth, get dressed, have breakfast, and they both have one room that they clean every morning. But on top of that, Silas is also going to have doing the dishes and going around the house and opening the curtains for natural sunlight for the day. Then Daisy, on top of her normal chores, will also feed the dogs, check the floor for anything on it, clear all the floors, and then start the Roomba, our vacuum robot that I try to run daily. This sounds small, and it is, but like, we all know how much those small daily chores add up as a mom. To stop and feed the dogs, stop and turn on the Roomba. Oh, I forgot to empty the Roomba. Oh, I need to take the trash out, it's full. This really adds up and helps me significantly. My morning chores will be walking the dogs, cleaning up the yard, reading my Bible, budgeting, doing my personal French lesson, getting dressed, and doing one load of laundry every morning. One thing that's going to have to give is exercise. I cannot start as early as I want to and exercise. I've moved exercise and shower to my evening time routine, which my evening routine is workout, shower, read aloud to the kids, closing time, meaning making sure that I wake up to a tidy living room and kitchen, and then going over tomorrow's plan. This kind of sounds like a lot as I read it, but I know that doing the same things every day and how short and fast it is to do most of this, that It should be functioning like a well-oiled machine in no time, and I'm extremely excited for it. I'm definitely going to be sharing morning routines and day in the lives so that you can see it in action, see how functional it is or is not, and kind of feel out that journey with me. If you enjoyed this video, you definitely want to check out my 11-minute free video class, Homeschooling, Excellent Time Management, the 3 keys to how I thrive as a single parent, how I time block, how I manage my time, my mindset, everything. I go over it all. I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Happy homeschooling.